बुद्ध्या परित्यज्य सर्वं यदाप्नोति तत्त्वं परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवागमस्मि। दयालुं गुरुं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं प्रशान्तं समाराध्य मत्या विचार्य स्वरूपम् यदाप्नोति तत्त्वं निरिध्यास्य विद्वान् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवागमस्मि। यदानन्दरूपं प्रकाशस्वरूपं निरस्तप्रपञ्चं परिच्छेदहीनम् अहं ब्रह्मवृत्त्यैकगम्यं तुरीयम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवागमस्मि। यदज्ञानतो भाति विश्वं समस्तं विनष्टं च सद्यो यदात्मप्रबोधे मनोवागतीतं विशुद्धं विमुक्तं परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवागमस्मि। निषेधे कृते नेति नेतीति वाक्यै समाधिस्थितानां यदा भाति पूर्णम् अवस्थात्रयातीतमद्वैतमेकम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवागमस्मि। यदानन्दलेशैः समानन्दि विश्वम् यदा भाति सत्त्वे तदा भाति सर्वम् यदा लोकने रूपमन्यत् समस्तम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवागमस्मि। अनन्तं विभुं निर्विकल्पं निरीहम् शिवं सङ्गहीनं यदोङ्कारगम्यम् निराकारमत्युज्ज्वलं मृत्युहीनम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवागमस्मि। यदानन्दसिन्धौ निमग्नः पुमान् स्यात् अविद्याविलासः समस्तप्रपञ्चः तदा न स्फुरत्यद्भुतं यन्निमित्तम् परं ब्रह्म नित्यं तदेवागमस्मि। स्वरूपानुसन्धानरूपां स्तुतिं यः पठेदादराद् भक्तिभावो मनुष्य शृणोति वा नित्यमुद्युक्तचित्तः भवेद्विष्णुरत्रैव वेदप्रमाणात् भवेद्विष्णुरत्रैव वेदप्रमाणात् We are in the fourth verse, which talks about Mananam predominantly. In the first line, Yada Jnanato Bhati Vishwam Samastam. Due to ignorance of which Brahma Swarupa, that Swarupa of Brahma, Samastam Vishwam, the entire universe of names, forms, is taken to be the ultimate reality, Paramartha Sat. It is taken to be Paramartha Satyam. Whereas, Yad Atma Pravode Vinashtam Cha Sadhyaha. When one knows the Swarupa of Atma as being free from all the Nama Rupas, Upadhi, Avastha, and then the experiencerhood, etc., when one understands that Atma, Brahman, is free from all the Upadhi, like our the clay, Mrittika, is free, always free from the Upadhi Dharma, Ghata Dharma. So too, Atma, Brahma, is always free from Upadhi Dharma, namely Sukhi, Dukhi, Samsari, etc. One is always free. When does it go away? Sadhyaha, immediately, as soon as I understand. Sadhyaha means immediately, fatafat, turant. The moment I understand the Swarupa of Brahmatma, that very moment, the truth, the reality value that I had given to this world, names, forms, that vanishes. We recall the example of darkness dispelled by light, sunlight. We saw in the Atma Bodha, like light dispels darkness on the very moment of its onset. The moment light comes, that very moment darkness goes away. So too, the reality value I give to this prapancha goes away. That is the vinashtam. We have to remember again that the appearance may continue, but then the truth value is not there anymore. Okay. Like our clay pot, like the sunrise, like the blue sky, all that. When we know the truth of the blue sky, that sky is not blue. But then the truth value is gone, but then the appearance continues. Continuation of appearance is not a problem. Sky appearing blue is not a problem for me. Sun appearing to rise in the east is not a problem. The world appearing flat is not a problem. So to the world appearing as before is not a problem for me. In fact, it is an occasion for me to appreciate Purnam Brahma, Ishvara in this world. In this world I can appreciate Ishvara, Ishvara Shakti, Ishvara Mahima, the glory of Ishvara is all this greatness I can appreciate. Okay. So therefore the world does not continue to be a problem for the jnani, even for a sadhaka, it is not a problem. Therefore, the truth value is not there anymore. I do not place my purushartha on getting something in the prapancha or getting free from something in the prapancha. Okay, Vinashtam. Here, why we say the shloka talks about mananam predominantly? Because there is a logic here, a nyaya here, anvaya vetireka is there. Ajnana, when ajnana is there, the world is taken to be paramartha satyam, ultimately real. Therefore, ajnana being there, world is taken as samsara karanam or ultimate reality. Ajnana is gone, the world is seen its own place as a nama rupa, as Ishvara Vibhuti. So Anvaya Vyatireka. Ajnana is there, reality value for the universe is there. Ajnana is not there, reality value for the universe is not there. Anvaya Vyatireka. This is a yukti. Yes, a very powerful way of reasoning. Because of this we say this is a manana. This shloka points to manana predominantly. Okay. By the method of Anvaya Vyatireka, etc., taking to various yuktis, various proper reasoning, we are able to clear our doubts. The intellectual, the clarification, the intellectual, whatever doubts in the intellect, they are answered. And then further, Manovad Atitam. Atita, it is beyond Manaha. The mind cannot grasp Brahmatma Ishvara as an object. Anything that is limited, the mind is capable of grasping, at least partly. But here, Brahmatma, I am not an object. I am the Drik Swarupa. Brahman is limitless, therefore it's not confined to any size, etc., to be grasped by an entity like mind. Here, mind means its various powers. Powers to perceive, powers to infer. Mind has a great power of perception and also inference. Lot of inference it does, reasoning out, all that it does. But Atma, Brahma, is not within the grasp of inference, etc. It's not available for other pramanas. We have seen this, we would have seen this, no? Not available for pramanas such as perception, inference, etc. Postulation, arthapatti, etc. It is not available for that. But then how else do I know Brahmatma Swarupa? Only by the mind, only by the vritti. And vritti means it's in the mind only. Then you say, on the one hand you say, Manaha Atitam, it is beyond mind. But then it can be understood only by mind. Therefore we say, only in the form of Akhandakara vritti alone. Akhandakara vritti alone. Only by that. And that too, a mind by itself cannot understand, grasp the Swarupa, but then with the teaching, with the Upadesha, Guru, Shastra, Upadesha, the mind is capable of understanding Brahman. Not as a Vachyartha, but as the Lakshyartha, right? Not as an object of knowledge other than the knower, but as the very truth of knower, known, and the knowledge. Triputi, the Satyam of Triputi. In that way alone, it is known, not as a limited object. Therefore, it is a Manaha Atitam. It is beyond the grasp of mind. This is said in the Kenopanishad. Yan Manasa na Manute Yenahur Manomatam. Yat, that entity, Brahmatman, Manasa, by any process of the mind, any mentation, thought, feeling, etc., conjecture, idea, notion, belief, Manasa, by any of this, the capacity of the mind, na manute, Atma, Brahmatma, Ishvara is not understood. It's not an object, subject matter for any conjecture, etc., belief, etc. Yan Manasa na manute. It's not an object for the mind. Of course, mind can objectify almost everything in the universe, but except this Brahmatma Vastu. Then also the Upanishad says, Yena ahuhu manaha matam, yena ahur mano matam. The mind itself exists because of Brahmatma. The mind is capable of knowing, thinking, feeling, etc., remembering, forgetting, right? And then owning notions, then gaining, being free from notions, all that is because of Brahmatma. Yena manaha matam. Because of it, the mind gets a capacity to think, know, feel, etc. That indeed is Brahman and that you are. This is the Kenopanishad, part of the Kenopanishad. That is said here, Manaha Atitam. Also it is Vak Atitam. It's beyond the grasp of the simple meaning, the conventional meaning, the Vachyartha, the direct meaning of any word. Brahman, the word does not refer to any object. Like in our convention, the word pot refers to a particular object, right? A particular entity. The word table refers to a particular object. But Brahman does not refer to any particular object. Limited object it does not refer to. Why so? We have seen this in the Pratasmarana Stotra. We have seen Yanneti Neti Vachaner Nigama Avochu, etc. There we see a word can describe an object in terms of Jati, Guna, Kriya, Sambandha. Jati, species, a type, a class. Right? A word can describe, word can describe an object which belongs to a certain Jati, a certain type, species. For example, tree belongs to a class of objects. Therefore, the word tree is meaningful. The word I can use the word tree, mango tree, when I use this is a mango tree. When I say, I know what I mean, and you also understand what I mean by the word tree. For Jati, an object which has a species, a type, that can be covered by a word. As the Vachyartha, as the direct meaning of the word, it can be covered. The second aspect is Guna, any attribute. Blue lily, blue flower, sweet mango, no? The sweet, tall person, old man, all these are all old, tall, sweet. These are all attributes which cover a certain attribute of the object. Brahman is not, Brahmatma doesn't have any attribute, nirguna it is. Therefore, no guna, it has no guna, that is to can be an object of description, right? By a word, cannot be described by a word. Therefore, it is being free from all guna also, word does not cover. Of course, Brahman is not a jati, right? Jati means there are other members, and then one's own elements, limbs are there, like arms and hands, it is not there. Therefore, Brahman is not an object of jati, does not have jati or guna. Third is kriya, any activity, role, like we say, driver, porter, pilot, right? Teacher, nurse. These are all these words describe what the person does, what the object does. So, alarm clock, the word alarm timepiece, that describes what it does. That is a kriya, an activity, a role. Words can describe an object having a kriya or a activity, like the watchman, the president. These are all words indicating the kriya. Brahman is nishkriya, Atma nishkriya. Therefore, any word of kriya cannot cover Brahmatma. And fourthly, sambandha, connection, relation. Anything connected to something in some way, like role, relation, etc. You can also know the lid, we say. The lid, vessel, the lid, we say. The bottom, cup and the lid. The lid is connected to the cup. So a word connecting something, word indicating an object which has a connection to something else. Also, like parent, father, brother, sister, these are all words indicating relation, connection to something. Brahmatma being asanga, being eka, being free from any parts, no connection with anything, like akasha. Therefore, jati, guna, kriya, sambandha, these alone are the ways in which a word can cover an object as direct meaning. But Brahman is free from jati, guna, kriya, sambandha. Therefore, no word in whatever language it is, in any language, not only in Sanskrit, any language, no word can describe Brahman, Atman as an object, as the Vachya, direct meaning. Nor can a group of words also. One word cannot express, maybe a group of words, a sentence, a paragraph. No, nothing. Mano Vagadita. Then how does this Shruti, the Veda, point out, make one understand Brahmatma Swarupa? Not as Vachyartha, but only by Lakshyartha. Therefore, Mano Vag Atitam. This we would have seen quite a number of times. You would have seen this Mana Atitam, Vag Atitam, Vachyartha, Lakshyartha. At least in the Dridrishya Viveka, we have seen this. No, Vakya Vritti. Vakya Vritti, we have seen. This will keep on repeating. Mano Vag Atitam, not Vachyartha, Lakshyartha. See, it has to all these words, and more than the words, the meaning. What is meant by Lakshyartha? What is meant by beyond mind? Atita, Mana Atita, Vagatita. These all have to sink in one's mind. That's why repetition. Repeated, something is repeatedly said here so that it sinks into the person's mind deeply. Right? Ingrained, gets ingrained in that. The person has been, I was talking yesterday, the person has been brainwashing himself or herself not in a very healthy way. I am a samsari, I am a dukhi, etc. Now, rewash the brain, right? Wash it with this proper detergent, proper cleanser called Shastra Upadesha. Yeah. Expose oneself to the proper vision, wholesome vision, nourishing vision, meaningful vision. Therefore, that way there is a repetition here. So it does not only it has to sink into the intellectual side of the person, but more importantly, the emotional side of the person, it has to sink. You remember, the intellectual and the emotional sides of the mind or of the person have to harmonize, have to become in unison, have to unite, in harmony. That is to say, there is no conflict between what the intellect side of me and the emotional side of me, how they behave, what they say, and also there should be no conflict. They are in tandem, in harmony. Yoga is one of the biggest purposes. In fact, I see as the only purpose of yoga, not the means, only purpose of yoga is this harmony. Right? This harmony between the intellectual and the emotional sides of a person. Okay. Therefore, the teaching has to sink into my mind, not only at the emotional level, not only the intellectual level, but on the emotional me also. That is very, very important. Only when the teaching sinks into me, the emotional person, only then I own the teaching. Till then, I have the teaching, I don't own it. It's like, I have swallowed idli in the morning, but it is yet to assimilate. Right? Swallowing the idli is like having the teaching, but assimilating the idli, breakfast, of course you all know, I suppose you all know idli, okay? Okay, so assimilating the idli becomes tanmaya, right? Verily it becomes part and parcel of, integral part of me, right? So that is the emotional side has to accept the vision in whole. That's where the most of the problem of sadhaka comes. That's where these problems are there. Not in the emotions, not in the intellectual side. As I said the other day, buddhi is, the intellect is sat paksha patini. Very easily takes to fact, reason, truth, data. The buddhi, the intellect takes to it very easy. But then the emotional side is not governed by data, fact, reasoning. Nothing works. It has its own logic. It has its own or no logic. Its own logic or no logic. Its own ways. right? So that's why a person finds difficult to abide by. The person was, I know that drinking is not good, but still I drink. Okay? I know that smoking is not healthy, but still I smoke. Right? Hey, you know that smoking is not healthy, then why do you smoke? That's the emotional side. The emotional side ruling the person's thinking, choice of actions, behavior, all that. What we call samskara, vasana, is all part of the emotional side only. So that side of the individual also has to accept. They say in the modern psychology terms, I think, the child, the inner child, they say, the inner child is the emotional self. Emotional me is the inner child. It's not just enough if the parent in me accepts it. Parent in me is the intellectual me, the buddhi in me. And whereas the child in me, the inner child, is the emotional me. It's not enough only the parent in me accepts. It's not enough. I just have the teaching, all right. That is, the parent in me has it. But the inner child in me, that the emotional me accepts it, only then it is complete. Only then it is assimilated. Therefore, it is only for that purpose that manana and predominantly nididhyasana is enjoined. Therefore, it is for this purpose that this Shastra repeats itself, keeps on saying again and again and again and again. One day, I start understanding, right? In the month of mid-December to mid-January is the Mrgasirsha month, Margasirsha month. That is a month very ideal for observing some religious penances, rituals, vows and all that. Vratas, it's very ideal for that. So people get up early in the morning. Of course, other days also they get up early, I suppose. But then the month of Margasirsha, at least from mid-December to mid-January, they get up early in the morning, around 4:30 or so. Then people take bath and then they go to temples. They pray, offer worship individually and collectively. They offer worship. And in South India, it's even now still they observe. At least in Tamil Nadu, of course in Andhra and all that. In South India, they observe this. The people follow them. Mainly women folk. Men are gone case, more or less. They don't go to temple. We can see in South India, they can say, men say that, no, going to temple is a woman's job. Men don't go to temples, don't pray. They only women go. ये तो नारी औरत का काम है. मंदिर जाना औरत का काम है. मंदिर जाना में going to temple is a woman's role, her job. Yeah, why don't you pray? Oh, she prays for me. My wife goes to temple and she prays for me. It's good that she goes to temple, she prays, it is good, but why don't you go? At least once in a while, why don't you go? Who told it's not a man's job? मंदिर जाना स्त्री का काम है. किसने बोला? कौन बोला ये? कौन बोला कि मंदिर जाना स्त्री का काम है? Who told that it's going to praying is a woman's job? Anyway, women go. Thanks to them only, perhaps the Sanatana Dharma is still intact. The family and then Sanatana Dharma, because of this humble, these women. Okay. Now, and then children also, they take the children also. And then children, they have an attraction. That is, at the end of this puja, the prayer, they get some nice prasadam. Okay? Hot pongal they get. So they go for getting this pongal. Not for children, what do they know about prayer and all? They don't know. But then pongal they are interested in. Prasada they are interested. They go to temple. Now, in olden days, there was this, in the villages, there was this fellow who was appointed. The village people tell, hey, you wake us up. You have to, no time, there was no timepieces, alarm clocks were not there. And therefore, they appoint one fellow. They ask this fellow, you do this job. Of course, the other months, the fellow has other jobs to do. But this month, part-time role, this fellow has to wake up the villagers, people. How? The fellow will blow the conch. Right? one conch, Shankha is there. That fellow blows the shell, goes the conch. Shankha. What time? You should wake up around 4 o'clock or so. The fellow should blow that so that people can get up and then get ready to go to the temple and pray. But then there are this fellow does not cover just one village, but then has to cover quite a few villages. One village is here and then 2 kilometers away another, and then 5 kilometers another. This fellow cannot blow the shell at the same time in all the villages. No? What will the fellow do now? He has to cover all the villages. So 2 o'clock itself in one village, blow the 2 o'clock, 2 a.m. and then come to the next village, 3 o'clock, blow that. And then by 4:30 also he covers the villages. Hey, why are you blowing the shell at 2 o'clock? No? It's my job to blow it. You get up when you want to get up. That's all. आपको मेरा काम है ये दमाना, शंख बजाना मेरा काम है. तुमको जब उठना है तुम उठो, बस अपनी मर्जी से उठो. राइट? संग है ஊதர சங்க ஊதி வை, விடியறம் போது விடியட்டும். This is translated in Tamil proverb. That's a saying. You blow the conch. When the dawn sets in, let it set in whenever it comes. 2 o'clock, never mind. You have to blow, let it blow. So Shastra blows the conch. Manova agatitam vimuktam vishuddham param brahmanikyam. When the dawn happens in, let it happen whenever it happens. Shastra goes on, tirelessly goes on, telling this vision again and again. This is your Purushartha. This is what you need to understand. Your life becomes meaningful by this. You are free from the sadness. You discover the abiding happiness, fulfillment in life. Shastra goes on telling. When it has to click inside, when the dawn has to rise in here, no? When does the dawn rise? When the sun rises there, when the emotional self in me is in harmony with the intellectual side. This is what they say, parenting oneself. Right? The parent in me helps the child in me grow. So that's why the Shastra repeats again and again and again, tirelessly repeats. Manovag atitam. Okay. Vishuddham, ever free, ever pure, untouched by any of the dharma belonging to body, mind, etc. What all we attribute to ourselves, no? What all things. No, I am happy, I am sad, I am old, I am young, I am aging, I am healthy, I am not healthy, I am bad, I am good, right? I am a scholar, I am an idiot. All that, what all we ascribe to ourselves. So whereas me, the Sakshi, I am ever untouched by any of these attributes. They belong to Upadhi, to the mind or to the body, and not to me. See, like, no? This Ghata Akasha, right? Ghata Akasha is free from all the attributes of this Ghata always. Ghata Akasha never becomes small because of Ghata. The smallness belongs to the pot, that's all, not to the Akasha. So too I am ever free, Vishuddham. Even when I do not know I am free, that is the greatness about the teaching. But the only sadness is that I did not know that, I did not understand that, I did not feel, I did not own that I am free. But then Shastra helps me see it, that I am Vishuddha, ever pure. And this is the truth, this is the nature of every being, Vishuddham. And Vimuktam further. Vimuktam, ever free. Never was I bound. Like whatever happens in the dream, no? The dream, that's a very, this fellow had a nightmarish dream, okay? The previous day, he had a triple quota, 25, half a kilo, 1 kilo puri, and then half a kilo of this sabji, night. Restless sleep, all nightmares. Now, when the fellow wakes up, what happened to all the nightmare? All gone. Did it belong to this fellow? Did the fellow undergo all the suffering? Like in the waking state, it was all dream, all just gone. Vimuktam it is. Therefore, like the waker is not affected by the dream experience whatsoever. So, whatever that is there in the ajnana dasha, in the wake of ajnana, when the ajnana is there, whatever is there, it never really touched me, affected me. I thought that I am affected by that. That thought is the problem here. The notion is the problem here. Just because I thought I am affected, I am not affected because I am untouched. Vimuktam I am. I am ever asanga I am. I am the sakshi matra, chin matra, and therefore upadhi dharma I am always free from. Vimuktam, that param brahma, which is nityam, the eternal, the truth, eternal truth, that indeed I am. Tadeva ahamasmi. Right. So much for the fourth verse. Now the fifth verse, fifth shloka, there we can take as the shloka indicating nididhyasanam mainly. Now, nishedhe krite neti neti iti vakyaihi, the teachings. There is not one vakya, but then there are many places. Variously the Shruti unfolds the vision. Vakyaihi, by the sentences, in the method, the teaching, neti neti iti, by the method of negating what Atma is not, what Brahman is not, that is negated. Neti neti, not this, not this, not this. This Shruti repeatedly negates what does not belong to Atma, what is not the Atma Swarupa, which is wrongly imputed to oneself, Atma, that is negated. Neti neti iti vakyaihi. What does these do? Vakya do? What do these vakyas do? Nishedha, negation. Negation of the wrongly imputed attributes, Swarupa, etc. Right? I am a samsari, a wrongly imputed Swarupa for Atma. I am Sukhi, a wrongly imputed attribute. Nishedhe krite, when that's all negated. Then, yad abhati, that which shines in its own purity, in its fullness. Purnam abhati. It shines in its own fullness. It shines as fullness. Purnam abhati. Purnatvena abhati. Purnam sat abhati. You are that Purnam. Purnamadaha. Purnamidam. So Shruti says, you are that Purnam Purusha. You are that Purnam Brahma. You are Purna Purusha. It points out. That I understand only when the emotional cobwebs in me, right? Lot of cobwebs are there, spider webs are there, which I have spun around myself, right? Those cobwebs are cleared, then I understand me, I understand the world, I understand Ishvara in their own Swarupa, yat abhati. And for that, for me to understand the Atma Swarupa in its full glory, in its own nature, my mind needs to soak in the vision, needs to soak in it. That's the emotional side. And when a person does this nididhyasanam, contemplation, so for a length of time is necessary. How long depends upon how much the cobwebs are there inside. The more cobwebs, more cleaning, right? That's all. So if I have a lot of muck inside, emotional muck, if I carry, more cleaning is necessary. Less muck, less cleaning. Okay. So when a person does this nididhyasana, contemplation, the teaching, contemplation is bringing to one's mind preparing oneself for meditation, getting ready for focusing on the meditation, staying with the process, and then at that time bringing to one's awareness the vision again and again and again and again and again, and trying to negate the erroneous conceptions, erroneous concept ideas about oneself again and again and again. They say, no, these things do not go, unfortunately, for a good number of people. At least in the beginning, they just do not go away. They are stubborn, okay? It is the scripture says, and then like even the sun rises, immediately darkness is dispelled, and then Atma shines in its own brilliance, glory. But for me, darkness does not go like this, like that. It's very stubborn, okay? Dense, stubborn. Imagine, you bring the light, still darkness refuses to go. Imagine that. Something like that. So they say, give an example, imagine there is a pond, okay, and on the pond the surface, what do you call that? The growth, algae growth is there, algae growth is there, the green, all the tiny plant structure floating on the surface of the water, and then the village woman goes to fetch water from that pond. What she does, she gets into there, and then with her pot, she tries to remove that algae there. And then it clears up for a while, and then fills her pot, comes back. She has cleared the surface, at least that area. After a while, it again comes and covers the surface. This is a very common example. So something happens, something like this happens here, right? I tell myself, but then again, the cloud of confusion, erroneous concept, error, habitual errors come and cover again. Therefore, a length of time one has to work on oneself. After all, it is growth, okay? Growth is always time taking. It takes time. That's how growth is generally. It takes time. So what do I do during that time? Be patient with yourself and then keep doing the proper things, the appropriate things, keep doing that. As best as you can, as much as you can, keep doing. Try to raise the notch, okay? Raise the notch. Try to increase a little bit more. Don't underdo. Don't underachieve, okay? Underachieving is that person isn't living to the fullest. Don't be an underachiever. Try to raise a notch. They in the high jump and all, they do that, right? Raise the level. So raise the bar. They say raise the bar. So this fellow has jumped 1.5 meters, 1.7 meters. This fellow has cleared. Now what does the fellow do? Raise the bar. No, the person tries to bring out the best in oneself. No? That's a spirit. That's a spirit of games. No? Do your best. Show that you are best. You are the best that you can offer. That's what you can offer to the world. Right? Your best. Offer your best to the world. Right? Don't offer your worst to the world. Right? Offer your best to the world. That the world owes it. The world deserves to get the best from you, and you deserve to express the best in you, right? So raise the bar. Try to raise the bar. Don't be complacent. All right, I have understood ABCD. It's enough. No more schooling. ABCD I can read and write. Enough. No more schooling. Don't underachieve. Right? So certain things we should not be complacent. That is raising our own level. We should not be complacent about it. Don't compromise on that. So raise the bar. So the person tries to improve. Thereby only one grows. If the fellow high jumper walks off, 1.5 have cleared, enough. Hey, no medal. And it doesn't matter. 1.5 walks away. The person is doing vanchana to oneself. Right? that deprives the person himself of this his best or best. Therefore, in the process of contemplation, try to raise a bar little bit. Okay. So, and then for a length of time, one does patiently keep doing. Thereby, things start happening, right? Inside, within, things start happening. We start understanding. The clouds start clearing. It happens. We start seeing better and better. Okay. Now, the culmination of nididhyasana is called samadhi. The culmination of nididhyasana is called samadhi in our parlance. In our parlance, samadhi is the paripaka avastha. Nididhyasana paripaka avastha. Paripaka avastha, the culmination of nididhyasana is called samadhi in our parlance. So this is what is said, samadhi sthanam yada bhati purnam. Samadhi is the culmination, grand culmination of nididhyasanam, paripaka avastha. The highest level or the high level of nididhyasana is called samadhi. According to, that's how we take it here. Okay. We'll leave it here. We'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.